Now it is my pleasure to introduce Beth Stelzer of Save Women's Sports. Beth is a wife, a mom, an amateur powerlifter from Minnesota. She's here to show us what a single woman can do with a movement. She founded a nonpartisan grassroots coalition, Save Women's Sports, that has put up proposed 37 bills to protect women's sports. It's huge. In just 2 years, Save Women's Sports has grown from a website into an international movement that is creating laws to protect women and girls in our sports. Beth says, if we allow males to compete in female sports, there will be men's sports, there will be co-ed sports, but there will no longer be women's sports. Thanks, Beth.
For the wonderful reception. I want to start off tonight by thanking April for pursuing a dream with passion and creating an amazing space for us to gather and create some great energy. And that's one of the reasons I said yes to coming tonight. Is live events are special, and I'm really grateful that all of you felt safe in coming to share this space tonight. And I hope that after this weekend, you are all also inspired to pursue your dreams with passion. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Beth Stelzer, and this is my story. I'm a mom, and I would say a typical rural American. My husband and I own and run a family business, and until a couple years ago, I was never involved in politics. I found fitness later in life. I dabbled in sports a bit in high school, like softball, season of basketball, and some hockey, but I never found my niche. After I had my child, I hit my 30s, and I felt I needed to get active. After conquering my first big goal of running a 5K in 30 minutes, I sought any fitness class within an hour drive. Mind you, in rural Minnesota, there aren't many options, so sometimes I drove hours for an experience, but I got involved in kickboxing, in bar class, which is like ballet, yoga, and then I found CrossFit. I think a lot of us are familiar with functional fitness. There I met my match, my love, the barbell, and from then on, I was gonna be a power lifter. I quit driving to those stupid CrossFit classes, and I found a small gym in my little hometown with a barbell, and I trained my ass off. Well, my ass didn't go anywhere but up and out with all the squats. Powerlifting did more than transform and strengthen my body and strengthen my mind. I'd like to backtrack a bit in the timeline of my life to high school and college. I was dating this guy, and keep in mind I didn't have the confidence I do today. I stayed with him for 7 years through mental abuse, until that one day after he lost his job and it escalated to physical abuse. It was my dear friend Kelly J, who couldn't be here today, who helped me realize that his dumbass beat me because he was afraid of me. It wasn't because I had these guns then either. It was because a few weeks prior, excuse me, a few weeks prior to beating me, I discovered his dirty little secret. In the middle of the night, I caught him watching porn while wearing my lingerie. I was uneducated and scared when it happened, so I just ignored it, but apparently he couldn't. He wanted to control me, but instead, I kicked his ass to the curb. Jumping back now in recent years, my first big goal as that power lifter I was going to become was to compete at the Minnesota Women's State Championships. And that shit took some dedication, I'm telling you. I spent almost 2 years prepping to finally feel like I was ready and had the strength to lift with my mentors. I was training 1 to 3 hours a day, 5 to 7 days a week. Every calorie and macronutrient was counted. I was nervous but ready, and the anticipation killed me. But then I was on Facebook and I stumbled across this group of powerlifting women online. And there were rumors that there was going to be a protest about a man wanting to compete as a woman. Ooh. Like most of the general public, I brushed it off, thinking like it was a joke, right? Women can't be supporting this shit. Well, I was wrong. The day of the event, 2/3 of the women showed up, which is unheard of. Powerlifting events sell out. I mean, we're training for years to go to these things. Many of them stayed home in fear of conflict, and over a dozen of the women there showed up to protest in support of that man. My time to shine and be celebrated as a strong-ass woman I had become? No, I was shouted at and said by a man that I should share my space with him. When I got home from that event, I voiced my concerns. Not just about, him competing as a woman, but just how the protest went down. Like, you don't have to come and ruin our whole event, and I got death threats just for saying it wasn't right how it got down, not even getting into the politics of it. And that's when I discovered that other organizations that you would expect to stand up for women, like the Women's Sports Foundation, were actually supporting males in female sports. I felt really freaking alone and isolated, like I think many of us have felt in our journeys. And that's when I started the website, SaveWomenSports.com, to share my story and compile information. And as Amy said, in a matter of a couple of years, what started as a free website has grown into an international freaking coalition. Right. We are joining forces with the left, the right, to come together on this issue. We have helped states pass laws to protect female athletes, and I have personally testified 18 times now. We have joined with over 40 organizations to send a petition to the Olympics. We connect athletes, coaches, and parents with resources to fight back. So I went from sitting in my basement, editing a website, to getting invited to share my story in Washington, D.C., then speaking on the front steps of the Supreme Court, to getting to getting published in Newsweek and appearing on live TV. By the way, to see my 87-year-old grandpa's face when I was on the television was priceless. But how did I get there? I don't know. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I used my passion to try to make change. Opportunities presented themselves along the way, and I did not turn them away. I took any interview possible. I made myself readily available for interviews, and for 2 years I have worked to make connections to make a difference. From calling and emailing legislators, to connecting with other organizations, to eventually doing media. I didn't have a paved path, and I can't truly tell you how I got here, but it started with passion, and I followed my gut instinct, and of course, a free website. When I asked for donation, I was a good human and sent back thank you cards, and more donations kept coming. And that brings me here today. From online death threats to being shouted at in person in state capitals that my freaking femininity is fragile and that I was weak. Like many other activists before me, however, I am nearing burnout. I stand here today, battle-wounded and tired. I'm here today to warn you that you need to do something. You cannot sit back and expect women like me are doing enough. There is so much work to be done, and we are all equals. Some of you see me as a leader, but I didn't choose to take this role. I still feel like that little girl who grew up in a town of 200 people that climbed trees and helped her dad with his race car and played with her little red tractor. And for a couple of years, as the Lisa Frank journal I recently discovered from my age 9, so beautiful and young, I prefer to be called Louie because I thought I would like to be a boy. But this quickly wore off when I hit puberty and I grew to love my womanly body. It was a slow journey, but it would not have been worth it if it not have been. This is the reason this war is so close to my heart. Like many athletes I have interviewed, we didn't fit the box of typical femininity, and we fear that if we would have been raised today, we would have been forced on the trans train. Instead, I grew to love my body, and even though after childbirth, I still don't really know what it is to feel like a woman. We are all equals. I am you, you are me. Together, we will not only freaking save women's sports, but we will also preserve the definition and the rights that come with the honor of that title. Fellow warriors of the XX chromosome tribe, men too. Our words are our swords and the truth is our shield. This is my call to action. Please join me in this battle before it is too late. There is one thing that is clear to me in this war. We are equal and we need each other's support to get this shit done. I leave tonight with a question for you. What will you be telling your sisters, your daughters, your granddaughters you did to save their rights? Thank you all for your time.